All right, let's get into it.
Okay, you guys got to hear what they say, what they knew in 1884 about airflow and what happens if you're in a room with the window closed. No fresh air, or a house with all the doors and windows closed. And we know today it's all about, all the rave is making your home super energy efficient, being airtight. That could be a bit of a problem, dude. Listen to this. So fresh air. There should be plenty of fresh air in your house. This book, again, 1884, they don't make them anymore. Everything's going digital. They can erase at the flick of a button. Let's have real books. So listen, okay. Fresh air. There should be plenty of fresh air in your house. Air is a mixture of oxygen and nitrogen. The nitrogen serves to dilute the oxygen, which alone would be too stimulating. In breathing, the oxygen is absorbed by the blood and the carbonic acid is thrown off. Carbonic acid is a poisonous gas, so you see that a person in breathing gradually poisons the air, okay? An average man gives off a little more than half a cubic foot of carbonic acid gas in an hour when he is asleep, and nearly 3 times as much when he's hard at work. Women and children give off rather less. It takes very little of this, about 2 parts in 10,000, to make the air unwholesome. Now you see how necessary ventilation is. So he's talking about, in summer, it's very easily accomplished. In the winter, though, you got to figure it out. He says there should be at least 1,000 cubic feet of air for each person, and the ventilation should be enough to change all the air in the room 3 times an hour. How can you accomplish this? It's done partly by the heating, and then it talks about the cold air box and all these different things. Fresh air is of utmost importance. And you can go into a stuffy room and feel it's stuffy. You got to open the window. I know I'm probably preaching to the choir. You guys open your windows, but there's some people who I never see their windows open when I go by their house, ever. And mine are wide open 24/7. Not wide open in the winter, -30. I mean, but I have them open a crack, 100%. You gotta have fresh air, man. I've known this.
Yeah, you cannot beat having fresh air circulate throughout your house, especially when you're sick. There's nothing better than opening up your windows if you can. I mean, if the weather allows it, and just getting fresh air circulating through your house. There's nothing better. I mean, not being sick is much better, but there's nothing better while being sick having fresh air circulating.
I just saw a TikTok of this man literally filleting himself. If you genuinely still don't think there is a war going on in the world between good and evil, you are lost. I can't help you. I saw a video of this influencer or some literally cutting himself into pieces on a TikTok live. He stripped down and just started filleting himself in front of thousands of people. Like head to toe red, just cutting chunks of his skin out. If you genuinely don't think this is like a battle, man, between demons and angels, like if you can't see that there's a reason why the church is bringing in so many new people to start becoming exorcists, if you can't see that, like this is it, guys. This is, I guarantee you, that's some breaking of the 66 seal right there, I betcha. And everyone's like, nah man, he had sepsis. So that doesn't make you just go start cutting yourself open. More to the point, this is something that they wanted you to see. I'm telling you, I can't even post on TikTok. My TikTok account gets banned all the time for talking about that map behind me. But there's a dude that can get butt naked and start cutting himself. Are we serious?
Hopefully Perez Hilton can get the help that he needs, because that was a very serious situation. I have unfortunately seen some of the clips floating around online of it. It is pretty gruesome. Luckily, he did get some assistance and was taken to the hospital. Not that any of his friends, or if that's what you want to call them, helped. They actually just kind of laughed and really weren't too concerned, but overall, he still did get some help by going to the hospital, and he seems to be doing better. And yeah, I would have to say that there was definitely some build up to this. It's not just all about his past. I'm not super familiar with this guy, but I'm familiar enough to know what he was currently going through up until this point. Recently, he was really diving deep into the Bible, and he was finding himself, and he could feel, he was saying that he could feel this attack about to happen, and it pretty much ultimately led up to this moment, which is really disturbing because that was broadcasted in front of a lot of people, and those people could now very well be traumatized, triggered, or what have you from this situation in a very harmful manner. And it does make me wonder, what if that stuff is intentional? What if there is some form of evil at play trying to corrupt the other people that are watching this, to get them mentally disturbed, to put them in some sort of psychosis, to make them as crazy as they can be so that they self-harm or harm others even. It is very alarming that something like that was able to go down for so long when there is creators out there that release not even edgy content and it gets flagged and taken down nearly instantly as soon as it's uploaded. It does make you wonder that there may be something more going on behind the scenes to taint the waters, if you will. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one.
Guys, I've been telling you for a while that this stuff is very supernatural and that it is not always extraterrestrial beings, and that these abductions take place with these people. But several times, and I'm not just several, hundreds of times, people have called on the name of Jesus, and when they have had to flee. Now, what does that? Demonic entities, demons, even Jesus himself, the demons would cry out and say, "Son of God, have you come to torture us before the times?" Well, look, there are cases where this takes place. Check these guys out.
400 cases where these abductions have been halted by people calling on the name of Jesus Christ. And in the movie, we have the testimonies of these people who were having these experiences. They were terrified, and in the moment of terror, they recalled or called out to their childhood memories of who Jesus was. And the instant his name was called, it stopped.
So why do these aliens respond to Jesus?
Exactly. And that indicates the spiritual nature of what is going on. So the evidence is spiritual, and then when we get to the level of abductions, deceptive messages are being given to people, but then when they're halted in the name of Jesus, that is incredibly powerful.
Now, I don't know about you, but I would say that is proof. That is proof that these things are not aliens. Now, you can say they're from here. Well, yeah, because the angels were cast to earth. The fallen angels, Satan, all of the above. But I'm telling you now, there's a reason they flee. Why would they flee in the name of Jesus if they were just aliens from another planet?
I'll definitely keep this in mind for if I ever do get abducted. And one other thing that I've heard about is if you ever have sleep paralysis, use the name of Jesus and that will also help get you out of it. Which I will also keep that one in mind because I've experienced that 2 times in my life. Hey, if you haven't done so already and if you're enjoying the show, give it a like. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I upload a video like this Monday through Friday, early in the morning. And for everyone that's made it this far, thank you so much for supporting the channel.
I want to know about the Los Angeles Central Library. That building right there. Boots on the ground today. Let's go check it out. Construction started in 1924 and ended in 1926 on this beautiful Art Deco masterpiece. In 1986, the library experienced 2 fires, and they were both attributed to arson. I don't know if they found the person. They also destroyed a bunch of books in the process, which sucks. There's some Egyptian motifs in this building for sure. This thing also looks like an obelisk from a distance and up close. It's got beautiful tile on the roof. Bertram Goodhue is credited with designing the Central Library, and he had Egyptian and Mediterranean Renaissance Revival styles built into it. This Art Deco entryway is pretty cool. Let's go inside. This place has over 6 million books and pieces of information. So this is the Loderick M. Cook Rotunda. It's gorgeous. Illustrator Dean Cornwell painted these amazing murals that are really hard to describe if you're not here in person, but they catalog the history of California or the narrative of California. But the detail is insane. And since I'm a muralist, I know how this works. And this ain't no easy mural. It took him about 5 years. He finished in 1933. During the Great Depression, no doubt. Look at the detail in the hands, the faces, the figures, the colors. And this part of the mural is definitely showing some indoctrination going on. We have Native Americans in the background. We have a boy in the foreground. We have some creepy dude with the good book talking to the boy. There's so many strange narratives in this mural that are supposedly the depiction of the history of California. Not to mention this ceiling. Check this out. Artist Julian Garnsney didn't do tiling on the ceiling. All this detail and geometry is hand-painted cement, and they did it in 1 year of 1926. Yeah. It's so much bigger than it looks. See, unless you're an artist or unless you build things and paint things, you might not have an appreciation for how hard painting on cement upside down symmetrically is. Pretty hard to get it perfect, and they did. I'm in a whole other room here, but look at this ceiling. This is painted cement, and it's part of the ceiling that was painted in the rotunda. This room alone would take a year. There's no way they did all this in a year with the rotunda. A little more Egyptian iconography here. Of course, this place is on the National Register of Historic Places, as it should be. This is the back entrance, and it's got a beautiful, smaller Art Deco entrance, and it says, "In the world of affairs, we live in our own age. In books, we live in all ages. Transcending time through books. That's what we should be doing, instead of making data centers where they're destroying them." But I digress. I guess this is what an original concept was for this. It's a little different than this, but they went with a dome on this instead of more of an obelisk peak. Fun fact, we have this amazing structure, and in the middle of the rotunda we have the world's largest pop-up book right there, and definitely not as interesting as this incredible rotunda. This is what's on top of the building. I want to know. There's so many amazing details to this library. The Art Deco features, the Egyptian iconography, the painted cement ceiling. But what I want to know is why Lee Laurie stated, and he was the sculptor of the library, he said, "I mean to give people something that will make them scratch their heads." And I want to know what other hidden elements he put into this structure. I don't know. But what I really want to know is who on that list is going to jail first in America. I still didn't forget.
Overall, very incredible. It's just so hard to believe that all that was built in a year, and then it took 5 years for the mural to be painted. But hey, you got to give credit where credit's due. They did some impressive work.
Scientists are warning that massive UFOs, as many as 20, have been spotted around the moon. Yeah, the moon, baby cakes. So those scientists have said they've spotted between 15 and 20 of these massive UFOs that are miles big, that are at least 20 miles big, by using some kind of heat-seeking telescope type of thing. And while this is going on, while they made this announcement, the SpaceX, yeah, Elon Musk's SpaceX is going to crash a rocket into the moon on Wednesday. At the time I'm making this video, that's tomorrow. So on Wednesday, August 5th, SpaceX is actually going to crash a rocket into the moon. And this has been scheduled for a little while. And just before that happens, these scientists say that there are massive UFOs 20 miles in circumference near the moon or on the moon. I guess we'll just have to find out. Whatever happens, either way. Till next time.
I had to look into this because this is the first time I have heard about this, and sure enough, this is actually true, but I'm still questioning some things because we'll get into it. But from what this article is saying, researchers from the main astronomical observatory in the National Academy of Science of Ukraine has released a non-peer-reviewed study claiming to have detected more than 20 giant fast-moving objects near the moon. Now that's pretty interesting, but as of right now, they're not certain as to what it is. And there's some mainstream scientists that are skeptical and saying that it's just probably some optical illusion. And NASA has not came out and said anything about it either, which really doesn't mean much, but leads me to my next thing that I wanted to talk about real quick. When you have these observatories that actually study deep space and have all of these claims and theories of what's going on in deep space because they have these telescopes that can see these things, why are we struggling to see something that's 250,000 miles away when you're able to have this scientific theory as to what's well beyond that? We should have the equipment to be able to see what's that close to the moon, at least in my opinion, and that's what makes me doubt what a lot of scientists have to say when it comes to deep space, because do we really know, or are we really just taking some wild guesses? I mean, we should easily be able to see what these things are that's around the moon. We have the technology to see these craters up close on the moon. Why can we not see around it or even in its general vicinity. It just doesn't make any sense to me, but then again, I'm just a troglodyte sitting behind a camera, so there's that. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one.
Welcome back to Minute Mysteries, where we talk about true crime, conspiracy theories, and paranormal stories. Have you heard of the pizza conspiracy at Chuck E. Cheese? Well, essentially the conspiracy is that they literally put pizzas together. Like, literally. So, for example, let's just say that there's 3 cheese pizzas in their buffet line. You come in and you order a cheese pizza. So instead of making you a brand new cheese pizza, they will take the unfinished pizzas of those 3 pies and put them all together to create one whole pie for you. And this conspiracy stems from how the pizza actually looks. It's never actually a full complete circle. Pieces are sometimes smaller or the cuts just don't align. People have ordered the pizza. People have even gone inside Chuck E. Cheese to see for themselves. And in fact, the pizza is not a perfect circle.
Is it just me, or after all of the stuff that's went down, the word cheese pizza just doesn't sound good anymore? Maybe that's just me, but something about the word cheese pizza is just very unsettling nowadays. I think I've heard of this conspiracy before. It's pretty diabolical when you really think about it, but there could be worse things happening in the conspiratorial realm involving Chuck E. Cheese, so I would take this over what could be potentially way worse. But still, if you get a pizza, it should be a fresh pizza, not the third person that was here's pizza mixed in with the second ones as well.
Here are 6 companies in the United States which Big Food wishes they could get their hands on, but they refuse to sell out, and we need to celebrate their choices here, okay? Look, so we start with Bob's Red Mill, and this freaking guy, his company is owned by the employees. It's an employee-owned company. He was offered, I'm pretty sure, billions of dollars to sell out to like Nestle or something. No, that's against his morals. He had enough money, I guess. He had enough things lined up to where he didn't need to do that. And his stuff is glyphosate-free. Next, you have Lundberg Family Farm, which helped establish the California Organic Board, basically, in 1973, and has 20,000 acres of organic regenerative rice farms in California. Again, that's one family-owned. They do cover crops, waterfowl support, no synthetic chemicals. It's a good company. Then you have Lifeway Foods, which was offered $283 million from Danone, you know, the yogurt brand, and then offered $300+ million. Both offers they refused. That's crazy. You have Kelowna Supernatural. These guys are based in Iowa, and it's a network of Amish and Mennonite farmers who have refused to sell out. And now it is still, I think, pasteurized, but that's some healthy milk, man. And then Alexandre Family Farm, which is 5th generation owned and sells A2 dairy and healthy eggs. And lastly, we have Lovebird, which is, if you're going to buy cereal, I wouldn't go with Kellogg's, man. I'd go with these guys. And they're tested to be free of glyphosate, which is freaking awesome. Let me know if you've had any of these brands. I haven't had any of them, actually, except for Bob's Red Mill, of course.
Now, I personally have never tried any of these brands before, but it is really cool to see that there are still people out there that are not willing to sell out and to try to keep good in their product and try to provide as natural products as possible. I really enjoy seeing that, and I hope to see more of it. It's just really difficult to afford some of these things because they are a little bit higher in cost, and I understand why people do not really go out of their way to support these companies. But if you can, that's definitely the way to go.
Florida man was kidnapped by dolphins and forced to build an underwater city. Yeah, we're talking about this. It was a fan request, okay? Local police found this man washed ashore in Lee County, Florida, sunburned, dehydrated, and confused. By the time deputies arrived, he was drawing extremely detailed blueprints of this underwater architecture in the sand, claiming that a group or a pod of dolphins took him while he was swimming and escorted him to a site 40 feet underwater, forcing him to help them build underwater structures while communicating with him using clicks, which he understood. This is all gonna make sense in a minute, trust me. The Dolphin Pack's leader name was Gerald, who helped the man breathe underwater by forming a pocket of air around his head, where he spent 3 days building condo-like structures, buildings, and full-blown cities on the sea floor alongside the dolphins, who then returned the man to the surface and told him they would come back for him soon for phase 2. Medical staff treated him for dehydration but found no head injury or brain damage, with multiple tests showing seawater and marine particles in his lungs, suggesting that he had been underwater for quite a while. His name was Ricky James Hollowell, a 33-year-old aerospace engineer with experience in deep-sea technology, which is why the Dolphins chose him. The sheriff's deputy even confirmed the blueprints Ricky drew in the sand were accurate to the underwater zoning in that region. Now, before y'all start tweaking and telling me I fell off, this was allegedly a fake story published by a satirical news page. Who would have thought? But settle down, we're not done here just yet, because it turns out there's actually a bit of truth to the claims made in this story. In fact, there's a lot of truth to it. To start, dolphins are one of the smartest creatures on Earth, often scoring the highest in animal IQ tests, even scoring above chimps and orangutans, and have been shown time and again to exhibit advanced communication, engage in complex social groups, and problem-solving skills. So much that in the 1960s, the US government actually ran real experiments on talking to dolphins, and then made it illegal to talk to dolphins a few years later. They performed these experiments in collaboration with NASA to allegedly use dolphins as spies during the Cold War. And if you're wondering why NASA was involved, just wait till you hear what else they found down there. Among these experiments was the infamous case of Peter the dolphin, who got so attached to his human researcher Margaret that things started getting a little weird between them. You can search that one up yourself, or maybe it's better if you didn't. On record, these tests were inconclusive, but shortly after they passed the Marine Mammal Protection Act in 1972, which among many other things made it against the law for the rest of us to talk to dolphins. Almost like they didn't want us to know what they were saying. Then in 2001, not too far from the Lee County region in Florida, two marine engineers discovered what became known as the Cuban underwater formation off the coast of Cuba. Structures on the ocean floor that looked suspiciously man-made, closer to 2,300 feet beneath the surface, which were featured on major news headlines and then quickly brushed under the rug with no follow-up scans made. What exactly are they finding down there? Why does it sound like something intelligent might have been lurking in the depths of our oceans? Or maybe they're still there, which is exactly what US House Representative Tim Burchett claimed when he stated that intelligent entities are residing in underwater bases located in 5 or 6 deep water areas off the US coast. This was a real public statement made by an active US government official. And if there is an intelligent species making its home on our sea floor, you can bet the dolphins are the first ones they'd be communicating with. Then there's just the story of Gerald the dolphin itself. It was apparently first published on a satire page called the Dude Humor Report, which later got taken out of context when it went viral and the lines between fiction and reality started getting blurred. But alleged reports of people who live in the Lee County area claimed they saw helicopters and law enforcement search teams scouting the coastline at the time this news first broke out. And that's not even the craziest part, because within a month of this fake news story coming out, over 40 bottlenose dolphins have washed dead ashore along the Florida coast. This one was a real news story and no one could explain why. Almost like Gerald has a bounty on his head and they're doing everything they can to take him out. All jokes aside, this obviously doesn't prove this story is real by any means, but very interesting to see all this happening around the same time. And I'll be the first to admit that this story about Gerald the dolphin may in fact be completely made up, or it may not be. But if hypothetically the media ever did want to cover a story up, just have them post it on a satire page first, and then no mainstream news source would dare talk about it. And that's why I'm here, right? To talk about the news that the news doesn't want to talk about. Now, I'm not saying this story is some big cover-up for the Dolphin Alien Alliance, but you know, never trust Snopes, kids. If they ever tell you something's been debunked, it's worth questioning. Anyway, I'm excited to see what happens when Gerald and the gang pull up for phase 2.
The idea that there was a fake news source that came out so that actual news would not cover it, that's a pretty smart move. But is that a real story? I have my doubts. Now, with that being said, I do believe that if anyone knows anything about the ocean, the dolphins have all that information. And they probably have some form of communications with whatever lives down there that's more advanced than what we're aware of. That would not surprise me at all.
Before us humans started putting lab-grown human brains into robots, there was a time when researchers tried to put a lot of different animal brains in a robot. Yes, brains from an animal that used to be an animal, but now control a robot. This has been going on since the year 2000, and one of the first was a lamprey. You may ask, why a lamprey, and what is a lamprey? Well, it's kind of like an eel. It's a jawless fish. They are interesting, but they're also model organisms, meaning they've been researched a lot. So why not extract their brain and put it in control of a robot? And that's what this research group did. This is what that robot looked like, and it did indeed move. It did do some stuff, and this was just the start of the field. A field that has ultimately led to brain in a vat, a literal brain in a vat, a brain that used to be in a person and is now in a vat, but that comes later. Initially, people did and very quickly realized that it is very hard to extract intelligence from a brain that used to be in an animal, be it human or otherwise. So there were major advancements in growing neurons. People have moved back towards using brains that used to be alive, but it actually is still easier to just grow them. You just don't have all the baggage that comes with having formed around a life. This is the only life that they know, if you were to say that they know anything, which I wouldn't. Meet Mert, and this was kind of the start where cultured neurons, so lab-grown brains, started operating robots, and this was made using cultured rat neurons. Now, I do find this picture somewhat haunting, and there's not a lot of things that I think are really all that creepy. I mean, I've talked about this stuff and read about this stuff for years now, but just something about the idea of having these robot arms operated by cultured rat neurons that we don't necessarily understand. If they have an experience, we certainly don't understand it. And all these people standing around it, celebrating, it seems off to me. Now, this is some of the art that Rat Brain produced, and it did have some neural feedback, so it kind of knew what it was doing. It was not totally random. I would call this a early foray into trying to get intelligence out of cultured neurons, and I'm really not entirely sure why they went to art immediately.
If they're doing these kind of studies in the public, imagine what they're doing in secrecy. There's probably some very nasty, sinister stuff in secrecy that is just pure nightmare fuel. I could imagine that this study has been taken well beyond its necessary means. I mean, even this is unnecessary in my opinion, but I'm sure that there's some mad scientists out there doing some very nasty things.
Hello, friend. Do you ever get the feeling that you're doing all the things right, but no one in the world can hear you and no one cares? If so, keep listening, I got a message for you. The difference between feeling invisible and feeling appreciated doesn't have to do with you or your message, it has to do with the room that you're in, and sometimes you just gotta change rooms. Let me tell you a quick story. This last weekend I went to the Psy Games in Charlotte. I love the Psy Games, it's like the Psychic Olympics, amazing people. And something very unique happened to me. When I walked in there, basically to any room, any place in the venue, people knew who I was. And this has nothing to do with ego, I don't care about that. It wasn't that they knew who I was, it was that they had stories to tell me. Like how my content impacted their life, changed their life, sometimes saved their life. And it was wild because as a content creator, as a podcaster, I put my heart and soul out there to the world, but there's 8 billion people in the world, right? So the odds of me saying something, having that thing hit somebody, having it impact their life, and then me seeing that person, like in the real world and hearing about it, the odds of that are so small that it barely never happens. So you just assume that doesn't happen, right? You know, that's our self-doubt. We just assume no one cares, like, you know, what am I even doing? And you have to keep summoning the will and the motivation to continue. But what happens when you go to one of these places is that now you're in your environment with your people, and the odds of that happening shoot through the roof, and it fills your cup, it remotivates you, it ignites you, it's super duper fun and fulfilling. But that doesn't normally happen to me in my daily life most of the time. I mean, you know, I have some fans out there and I get recognized and stuff, but it's very rare that like I'm just going out in my daily life and someone stops me and tells me like a really cool, profound story. But I got dozens, hundreds of them this weekend. And even to the point where I'd walk up to like celebrities and like big names and stuff that I look up to, and I'd be like, oh, look, it's so-and-so. And I'd be like, hey, my name's Jordan. And they're like, yeah, I know. And I'm like, oh, like, do I have a name tag on? Like, how'd you know my name? And they're like, I watch your show. Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, you watch my show? No, I watch your show. What are you talking about? And it's like, that doesn't happen to me, right? So the cool thing is, I guess the point of all this is, anytime you're feeling, I don't know, a little burnout or a little invisible, or like, you know, is my message landing? Should I keep going? Go to your room. Maybe you're just in the wrong room. Like if you're a marine biologist and you go to a football game, you're gonna be pretty disappointed. More people at that football game don't care about marine biology, you know what I'm saying? But if you go to a marine biology convention, you're a rock star. So you have to make sure you're in the right environment with the right people, and then you'll realize that what you're doing is important and you should keep going, right? So don't change yourself, change your room. Let me know if this resonates with you. Have a beautiful day.
I mean, yeah, overall that makes a lot of sense, but there's also some people out there that just do not know how to change the room. They don't know where the door is to leave the current room that they're in. And I think that that's the big thing that holds a lot of people back, or it makes them feel like they're just not being seen, I guess. Again, overall, really good viewpoint, but it would be also really nice to hear about how to leave that room and escape the comfort zone of doing so, if you're someone out there that desires that kind of feeling.
This is one of the most disturbing rake or pale crawler videos I've seen, and it's also very new, just taken on the late night of June 26th, 2026. The woman caught the creature on her doorbell camera. She got an alert from her front door camera that motion was detected. So she pulled up the app and looked at the live feed, and what she saw made her heart drop. A pale humanoid figure crawls past. Just look at the way this thing moves. It doesn't move like a human. Look at the way its leg bounces up as it crawls. Its movements are definitely unnatural. In this frame here, the bottom portion of its legs look insanely tiny. There's no muscle or fat there at all, just straight bone. Some viewers said they look like chicken's legs because they appear wider at the top than really thin as they go down. Some go as far as to speculate that it's some kind of chicken-human hybrid. People are calling it the Chicken Man. Yes, a Chicken Man creature would be downright disturbing, but I think it looks more like a pale crawler, like the Rake or something. Regardless of what it is, the footage is completely unsettling. Some skeptics aren't satisfied though, and say it could just be a person playing a prank on the homeowners. Which of course this could be the case, but how would you explain the way it moves and its legs? Could it somehow be an illusion, a trick of the camera or something? Or is it the real deal? The video clip quickly went viral right after she posted it, and commenters seem pretty torn too. But what do you guys think it is? Explainable or unexplainable?
That is pretty disturbing. Disturbing that crackhead Kevin's out there running around. I mean, honestly, I do believe this to be a real video. I don't think it's a hoax necessarily, but I don't think it's a monster per se either. I think that this is, I mean, it could be metaphorically if it's a person that's out to do some harm, but I think that this is a person just acting weird. That's my guess. Could also very well be a Rake, or, you know, the Rake, like the Cryptid. Let me know what you guys think.
We have an interesting video coming out of Arizona. This was captured on around August 3rd, the night of August 3rd, during a monsoon storm. His name is Juan, and he captured something weird at his neighbor's house. What appeared to be these unusual lights beaming from the backyard. The thing is, everybody was asleep. There was no party. There was no strobe light. None of that was going on. There shouldn't have been this bright light. But then what he sees behind the pole is what sends he and his daughter running. Watch the video in full. Take a look. Let me know if you see anything. Comment below.
What the hell is that? The neighbor said it fell from the sky. I'm gonna go check it out. Over there. Hold on. Wait.
So do you see an alien? Now, I have slowed down the video and I have enhanced it as much as I could, and it does appear to be like something was poking out around it, watching them. But is it a trick of the eye? Is it our brains playing tricks on us? Or did he really capture something? Now, I also compared it to the daytime photo of that same location. Take a look at both, and you comment below and tell us what you think. Was there a UFO crash landing at his neighbor's house? And did he capture an extraterrestrial? Be sure to comment and let us know what you think.
I don't know about this one. Now, I would think that maybe the lights behind the house was possibly floodlights, or even a street light just beaming through the trees. That would be my guess. And I didn't see anything that was there that spooked him. I do not see anything. If you see something there, please let me know in the comments, because I see nothing.
I feel happy, I feel healthy. I'm a human being.
Same here, man. Same here. Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end today's video. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching these clips with me. As usual, I feel happy, I feel healthy, I'm doing my best, and if today's your birthday, happy birthday, and if not, have a good day anyways.